Hello, I'm Commander WiggyB. This is Elite Dangerous version 2.4, and welcome to an introduction to the No-Hit Challenge. This is a friendly competition that myself and a few fellow Pixel Bandits have been running for a couple of weeks now. The original idea was the brainchild of Commander PBSF Haggis. Many thanks to him, because I've had a load of fun with this so far. The challenge rules are in the description below, but the basics are as follows. Try and kill high-ranked NPC ships using fixed weapons and without using chaff, while avoiding taking any hits in reply. Successful fights are then uploaded to the cloud for verification and bragging rights. If you've seen any of my other videos, then you'll know that this type of in-your-face dogfighting is exactly how I like to play. The ultimate goal is to take down ships like elite Ferdinands, Clippers, assault ships and Vultures. Believe me, when you manage it, the buzz is huge. If you would like to get involved, please leave links to your conquests in the chat below. I would love to see your battles and learn some new evasion techniques. In the comments from my previous videos, a few commanders felt that I had over-edited some of the fights. I usually try and keep my videos relatively succinct and below the 15-minute mark. Including full fights makes this difficult. As a workaround, I've uploaded the full versions of each of the fights used in this video as separate files. They aren't listed on my main channel page, but you'll find direct links in the description below. Please let me know if this is a helpful addition. I'm flying toothless in the background footage here. This ship was covered in a previous video that is also linked below. I've also put together a couple of new application-specific ships for this challenge. Let's jump to outfitting for a quick teardown. First up, we have the Waif. Given the Imperial Eagle's turn of speed, this is an attempt to build the equivalent of a ship-launched fighter. A tin-foil hull, heavy-hitting and disposable dogfighter that can run rings around the opposition. The weapon loadout may be familiar. I've copied the tried and tested combo of plasmas and rails. The accelerator is engineered for efficiency and doesn't have a secondary effect. The rails are currently unmodified, as I didn't want the extra weight associated with the sturdy mount upgrade. On to the utilities. As chaff is prohibited and heatsinks are heavy, the single slot is left empty to minimise weight and maximise speed and agility. Now the core internals. As this is the no-hit challenge, we have no need for heavy armour. As a result, this ship sports lightweight alloy bulkheads with no mods at all. Tinfoil indeed, at 108 total integrity. The power plant is a standard 3A model. This is for heat efficiency more than power output. The part is unmodified but is more than capable of providing the power that I need. Thrusters are without doubt the most contentious part of the build. When I presented the PBSF Jet Li in a previous video, several people asked why I didn't go with enhanced thrusters. I've tried them in the past and have them on my Super Sidey, but I've never really enjoyed using them. For this build, I have tried 3 different options. Enhanced thrusters with dirty drive tuning, which gives me a top speed of 556 meters per second and a boost of 741. Enhanced thrusters with clean drive tuning give me a 519 meters per second top speed and 692 boost. Finally, standard thrusters with dirty drive tuning provide the advertised 421 meters per second top speed and 561 boost. I've flown all 3 against a range of targets, and I've ended up back with the standard drives. The enhanced thrusters are very fast, but the boost speed is just so high that staying close to a target is virtually impossible. After each boost, I tended to find myself over a kilometre away from my target, and a sitting duck. Once 3.0 drops, I'm going to max out all the parts and rerun this test. For now, it's standard drives. The frameshift drive is the lightest part that will fit in the ship. Life support and sensors are both D-rated and modified for weight reduction. The power distributor is A-rated and charge enhanced to grade 5. Right at the bottom, the fuel tank is the smallest that will fit and saves a couple of tons of mass. Finally, on to the optional internals. As with the utility mounts, we're going for low mass, so the list is entirely empty. No shields and no reinforcements. Plenty of motivation not to get shot. The second custom ship is PBSF You Can't Touch This. This is a stripped out Vulture, very similar to the Waif. In the hardpoints, we have a pair of pacifier frag cannons. These have been kindly donated by PBSF Batwing, which featured in a previous video. Both weapons are modified to double shot grade 5 with the screening shell special effect. This combination provides massively increased short-term DPS and faster reload times. I've also been flying this ship with a pair of advanced plasma accelerators. These are modified to grade 5 efficient. For an ultra-lightweight ship, I found that I prefer the increased damage provided by the pacifiers versus the APAs. The small ammo reserve is less of an issue here, as combat tends to be brief. For a full hull tank, I still favour the APAs. Like in the Waif, I'm using unmodified lightweight bulkheads. This gives a rather comical hull integrity of 288. The ship doesn't have any power problems, so I'm using an unmodified 4A power plant. This is obviously pretty unusual for a Vulture. As we're looking for manoeuvrability, the only thruster option is 5A with the grade 5 dirty drive mod. This provides a maximum boost speed of 530 meters per second and a very usable top speed of 328 meters per second. Again, this isn't a particularly good roll, as I'm intending to max out this part when 3.0 drops. That being said, the ship is extremely agile, turns sharply without too much slide, and accelerates well. Just what we're looking for. Moving on, the thrusters are combined with a 5A power distributor, upgraded with the grade 5 charge enhanced mod. This allows for virtually permanent boosting if required. The frameshift drive is the lightest part that will fit in the ship. As a result, I can't even jump out of the system. The life support and sensors are both D-rated and modified for lightweight. Closing out the core internals, the fuel tank has been reduced to a 2C, saving another 4 tons. Finally, the utility mounts and optional internals are all empty. Time to pop out into space and get blown up a lot. Before we get into the fighting, the rest of this video will cover a variety of strategies for avoiding fire and for optimising your position. I'll also discuss a way to practice in relative safety without risking your ship. Finally, I'll include an example fight against a challenging enemy and give a summary of my stats so far. Okay, so item 1 in the list of ways not to get shot is extremely simple in concept. Don't let the NPC target you in the first place. This may sound like glib nonsense, but for some reason the NPC targeting mechanic is substantially different from the player mechanic. An NPC must face you directly in order to achieve initial weapon lock. It is unable to just select the highest threat on its scanner. As a result, if you continually stay behind or to the side of an NPC, then it will never fire its weapons. This is true for fixed, gimbaled and turreted weapons. Weapon lock isn't instantaneous either, and seems to take about 1 to 2 seconds for gimbals and turrets. The acquisition angle also seems to be rather narrow, so you don't need to dodge all that much to avoid being targeted. You may have noticed me hitting silent running during this fight. The received wisdom is that this is ineffective against NPCs. This is true, but only after they achieve weapon lock. In advance of this, hitting silent running when you're more than 500 meters away and the enemy is facing you may just save you. 2 minutes or so into this fight and I made a mistake. I mistimed a boost and stayed out in front far too long, and at a very short distance. Target lock achieved with the FTL. From this point on, you'll notice that I'm still able to stay off the nose of my enemy, but our top-mounted turrets are now weapons-free. My positioning is unchanged from before, it's just that the NPC has locked on. This fight is obviously a no-hit challenge fail, but hopefully illustrates the point. If you want to see the full video, it is listed as Fight 1 in the description. This next clip shows the classic method of starting a battle with an NPC. Sit nose to nose, wait for the NPC to complete its scan, and then follow after it. This is nice and easy, and allows you to start in a dominant position, but isn't my preferred method as you'll see in Flight 3. What my fight with this FDL does show is that position and patience is more important than damage when attempting the no-hit challenge. In the middle of the fight, I was struggling to keep close to the target. We were both boosting and circling, and my distance to the target stayed in the 800 to 1200 meters range for a considerable period. This is very dangerous, as the enemy has far more chance to turn on you. Closing the gap to below 500 metres while staying behind the target therefore takes precedence over shooting. As you can see, I made no attempt to bring my guns on target. Instead, I boosted towards and slightly behind the ship. To maximise forward speed, I made sure not to use my vertical thrusters at the start of each boost. As you can see, I only started firing again once I was confident that I had my position back under control. It's taken me a lot of deaths to gain this patience, and hopefully viewers of this video will die less often as a result. The third fight shows my preferred method of starting a battle. Rather than letting the NPC scan me, I actively try and prevent it. As we close on each other, I move offline, hit silent running and sweep in behind the target. The NPC will then try its level best to face me and run a scan. The resulting dance is a perfect preview of the coming battle, and allows me to judge the agility of my enemy without risk of being shot. Only once I'm satisfied that I know how to run the fight and I have a good firing position do I engage. I find this technique particularly useful against rare high-ranked targets, as I'm not caught off guard by their manoeuvrability. This technique can also be used as zero danger combat practice. Once an NPC has decided to scan you, it will follow you indefinitely. I toyed with the conda on screen just now for a full 2 minutes before eventually opening fire. The flight techniques that I'm using here are very similar to the style that Vindicator Jones uses. I've therefore linked his excellent advanced manoeuvring and directional thruster videos in the description. If you've not watched them already, I would highly recommend that you do, after this video of course. Before we move on to the final fight, I'd like to make 2 more recommendations. First, when fighting NPCs, avoid boosting if at all possible. Your speed and direction is far more controllable without boosting. If you can stay within 500 metres of your target using normal flight controls, you will find the challenge a lot easier. I find that boosting leads to jousting more often than not, and picking up an enemy's tail after boosting can be very challenging. Secondly, all ships in the game have yaw rates that are lower than their pitch rates. As a result, if you move to the side of an enemy, you force it to either roll or yaw. Either way, you gain an advantage. Now the final fight. This is a frenetic battle with a dangerous Federal assault ship. It forced me to use every trick in my arsenal, and was the most fun I've had in Elite for ages. Due to the sheer pace of the FAS, I'm forced to boost far more often than I usually would. This fight is about 90 seconds in before I'm able to maintain position and really set to work. Superb fun. Finally, my stats to date. As you can see, I've still got plenty of fights left to win. Of those, my gut feel is that the Elite Vulture will turn out to be the most difficult. Hitting a Vulture with fixed weapons is bloody hard work. If you're interested, You should find links to each of my successful no-hit challenge battles in the video description. So that's it for this video. Please do leave a like and a comment if you enjoyed it. Even better, leave a link to one of your own no-hit conquests. If there's a good response, I hope to showcase some of them in future episodes. 07 and fly like Neo, Commanders. WiggyB out.